Right now, there is a hole in your vision, a spot in each eye where you are completely blind and you have never once noticed it. Here is how to catch it. Close your right eye. With your left, stare at a dot on the wall and hold up a finger to the side. Move it slowly inward. At one point, your fingertip will vanish. Not blur, vanish, then reappear. That gap is real. It is always there, and your brain has spent your entire life hiding it from you. To understand why the hole exists, you have to look at how the eye is built. And the eye is built backwards. Think of a camera. The sensor faces the light and the wiring runs out the back toward the processor. Obvious. Now, here is your eye. Light comes in through the lens and lands on the retina at the back. But the light-sensing cells, the actual sensors, are facing the wrong way. They point away from the light toward the back of your head. So the light has to pass through a layer of nerves and a mesh of blood vessels first, and only then reaches the sensors buried behind them. It is as if someone installed the film in a camera facing backwards, with all the wiring stretched across the front where the light comes in. Every vertebrate on Earth, every fish, bird and human has an eye wired this way. Those backward sensors come in two kinds. Rods, for dim light and movement. You have about 120 million of them. And cones, for color and fine detail. Only about 6 million. Over 95% of your sensors are colorblind and built for the dark. All of them face backwards. And all of their wiring has to gather up, cross the surface of the retina, and leave the eye through a single cable. The optic nerve. Here is the strange part. 126 million sensors feed into an optic nerve of only about 1 million fibres. Your eye is compressing the image more than 100 to 1 before it ever reaches your brain. So the eye collects light, but the image it hands over is nothing like the world you think you're looking at. It arrives upside down and flipped left to right, projected onto a curved wall of living cells. Only a patch the size of your thumbnail is truly sharp. Everything else is smeared, low detail, barely colored at all. And the wiring runs backwards. Light has to pass through layers of nerves before anything actually detects it. Where those nerves bundle up and leave, there are no receptors at all. A hole, one in each eye. You have never seen that hole, not once. Something is quietly covering it up before you notice. Your eyes also jerk 3 times a second, and the world never blurs or jumps. That isn't the eye's doing. The eye is only the lens. The seeing happens somewhere else, 10 centimeters behind it in the dark. Now that cable has a problem. All the wiring lies in front of the sensors on the side facing the light. So to get out of the eye and back to the brain, the whole bundle has to punch straight through the retina, through the sensor layer itself, and dive out the back. At the exact spot where it punches through, there is no room for any sensors at all. None. A blind hole right in the retina, in both eyes. That is the gap you found with your finger. It is not a flaw that sometimes happens. It is built into the design of every vertebrate eye as a direct consequence of installing the sensors backwards. So why does the world not have 2 holes punched in it? 2 reasons. First, your eyes are a pair. The blind spot in one eye sits where the other eye can see, so between them, the gap is covered. But close one eye and the hole is still there, and you still don't see a black dot. Why? Because your brain lies to you. It looks at the pattern around the hole and simply paints in what it assumes should be there. If you hold a striped line across your blind spot, your brain fills the gap with stripes. It fabricates the missing patch so smoothly that you go your whole life believing your vision is complete. It never was. Here is what makes the backwards eye so strange. It did not have to be this way, and we know that because one animal built it correctly: the octopus. An octopus eye looks remarkably like yours. A lens, a retina, the same basic camera. That the octopus retina is installed the right way round. The sensors face the light, and the wiring runs out behind them. Nothing has to punch back through. And so an octopus has no blind spot at all. Its eye and your eye were not inherited from a shared eye. They evolved separately from scratch, and only yours ended up wired in reverse. Yours is not the best design. It is the design your ancestors happened to get stuck with. And yet you see beautifully. So how does a backwards eye produce sharp vision? For a long time this was a genuine puzzle. The answer, found only recently, is quietly brilliant. Running through the wiring in front of the sensors are long, clear cells called glial cells, and they act like fiber optic cables, funneling the incoming light straight down through the clutter and onto the sensors underneath with almost no loss. The backwards retina grew its own fiber optic screen to fix the problem of being backwards. And in the one place you need the sharpest vision, dead center, where you're reading this, the wiring is even pulled aside so light reaches the cones almost directly. Evolution didn't redesign the eye, it patched it, and patched the patch. So step back and look at what you are actually doing when you see. Light lands on the 126 million backward sensors. The image is upside down when it hits them. The lens flips it, and your brain quietly flips it back. Only a tiny patch in the center is truly sharp. Everything else is low resolution, and your brain sharpens it from memory. There is a hole in the middle of it all, and your brain paints over it. You are not watching the world. You are watching a reconstruction your brain builds and edits in real time from backwards, compressed, incomplete data. And it is so good, you have never doubted it for a second. Which raises a harder question. If your brain is filling in the eye's gaps, what else is it filling in?